We met on a blind date. We were all to dance. It was the 4th of July, and my brother ended up dancing with her roommate, and he kind of liked her, so he invited her out on a date, and she said yes. And then when that time approached, she kind of got cold feet, and so she asked my brother if he knew of anyone that wanted to go out with a roommate. So we went out on a date, and we got along pretty well, and so we started dating pretty regularly. And 3 months later, I asked Ronda to marry me, and 10 months later, after that we were married. So that's kind of how things started. Marriage was probably not something I was ready for. Our first year of marriage was pretty rocky and tumultuous. We came from different backgrounds, and due to a pretty short engagement period, Rhonda probably didn't realize that she had said yes to marrying an alcoholic who had a lot of anger management issues. Either one of those things aren't good, but together they're a recipe for disaster. Remember one time during our first year of marriage, we actually separated for a week. And at that point I thought our marriage was over, and I thought, well, that didn't last long. Another time, I was drunk, and we got in an in-your-face argument. And I hit her. And my solution to that was, I was such a man about it that I knew I'd done this despicable thing. I pulled my gun out of the closet, loaded it, and I was going to end my life. And Rhonda crying and begging me to stop, grabbed it out of my hands and told me that, it'd be okay, we could work it out. Any sane person would have realized at this point what this was doing to us, but I didn't. There were going to be many more years of finger pointing, mostly by me, blaming each other for our problems, and emptying our bank account to buy my beer. And through all this, Rhonda continued to show me God's love, grace, and mercy that He shows for each one of us. And I gave her so many reasons for turn her back on our marriage, and she never did.
I always believed that we could make it. I had faith in Steve. I wasn't willing to give up on him or our marriage. And I knew God was going to walk us through it.
Well, He did. God started to change my heart. I had the opportunity with the job I had to listen to Focus on the Family on WBGL during my lunch hour. So one day I also heard on that program about this Promise Keepers event that was going to happen in Indianapolis. My pastor, another friend of mine, and I decided we'd go. Prayed about it, and God convicted my heart to not attend this sacred event with the poison of alcohol in my system. So about 3 weeks before we left, I quit drinking. And at that event, which was incredible, God changed my heart and opened my eyes to see what this addiction was doing to my family and to our marriage. And praise be to Him for His faithfulness. I came back and I've never touched a drop of alcohol since then.
I always had a hard time with the thought of divorce. I could see goodness in Steve, and I tried to remember that when Jesus was betrayed, people mocked him. He was beaten, spit at, and died and nailed on the cross. And I knew that in my heart, divorce was an option. Maybe homicide, but not divorce. And I remembered the vows that I took when we got married, and I made the vows not only to Steve but to God, and it was for better and for worse. And I know that no marriage is perfect. I know, and I trusted that if this was God's will, that He would get us through it.
This year, by God's grace, we're going to celebrate our 35th wedding anniversary. And I'd say to those who ask if it's worth it, one of the biggest benefits have been to our children. And Ronda and I firmly believe that every child they need to have the security of knowing that their mom and dad's going to be there, that they don't have to worry about their mom and dad getting a divorce. And it's tough. Making a marriage work is tough. You ask if it's worth it? It is for us. We're not famous people. We're not rich people. We're not highly educated, and we're not people of prominence. By today's world standards, some people would say we just exist, and some people might call us slackers. Some even might even call me a failure. But if you define success by God's standards of what the Bible says for a husband and a wife, and His idea of marriage, then we're living the dream.